the planetarium shows 20-minute shows, and it's played on that domed ceiling.
Okay.
So you kind of lay back in your chair and you get to look up and watch those planetarium shows. And we sometimes do lectures and events in there as well. People can actually propose to people in there as one of our rentals. Yeah.
Wow.
So you can have it written in the stars, "Will you marry me?" which
Oh,
is kind of cute.
Through the halls of memories, brush strokes of history, capturing humanity. Stories left untold, whispers of the past, secrets they withhold. Yeah, yeah. Oh, the condition report.
I see at the top of your website you have HMNS at Sugarland and George Observatory. What is the difference between HMNS at Sugarland, and George Observatory? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, so we have our main location, which is closer to downtown Houston and the medical center. And then we have our two satellite facilities, which is in Sugarland, a suburb of Houston, and the
Okay.
George Observatory, which is in a state park, actually. And we have a big telescope. We do stargazing evenings there. So we have those two satellite facilities that are like mini me's of the main location, focusing on other specific topics.
Okay, but it's all under the branch of the Houston Museum of
Yes,
Natural Science. I
correct.
gotcha. That makes sense. And so I saw that, and let's just jump right into your website here, because I really like your banner. Hold on, watch this. Death by natural causes. Love that.
Yes.
But specifically, there's one person. Hold on, watch it for a second. Right? All kinds of crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then, hold
Well,
on.
death.
We're getting there. We're getting there. One thing I want to ask you. This guy, the guy in the
Yes.
bathtub. So what, oh, what happened? What happened to the guy in the bathtub?
So in that exhibit, it's actually my boss who curated that exhibit with one of our other curators, but it's talking about all the ways that nature can kill you, whether it be diseases or animals or um, minerals, different things that are natural that can kill you in the natural. And there's one section that's talking about like the deadliest things that you might not consider, and one of those is bathtubs. Is people more often die in bathtubs than other things that seem extreme but scary to humans, like getting attacked by a shark or struck by lightning. It's like much more common in a household object than than other things. So that's kind of what he's representing, that guy.
Wow. All right. I like the positivity that we're starting off with. This is great.
I know.
Real positive place. All right. So let me come back here. So on this page about basically things that are going to kill you, there's
Mhm.
this gentleman here. I'm assuming it's a gentleman. I don't know. And it says insert hand to something. What would I be inserting my hand for? What is that about?
Yeah, so basically the different sections I was talking about for that exhibit. Like there's an animal section and a section about minerals, and talking about plants that can harm you. And so basically at the end of those sections in the exhibit, there's an autopsy table with that pig cadaver. And basically he has different symptoms that you, after going through that section in the exhibit, have learned about things that can cause harm to you. So you can look at him and kind of diagnose maybe what happened. And so,
Wait, so are you sticking your hand inside him?
so you no, you stick
Oh,
that little box is kind of a just a creepy little element, and I believe it
yeah.
puffs air at your hand just to kind of like freak you out a little bit. So that part's not as sciencey, but
Wow.
yes, it is. It is a little. There's a couple different elements of that exhibit that are designed just to be a little creepier, since the nature of the exhibit is talking about death.
Well done. It's kind of creepy just looking at it on your
It
website.
is. It is.
Let's talk about the outside of the building. So
Yeah.
this is the main museum of natural science, yes?
Yes, this is the
Okay.
one that is closer to downtown Houston, and it's our largest and main facility. Our two satellite facilities are separate, and so this building, you can kind of get from the photo of it. It you can see a domed planetarium on the left, and then the entrance in the middle, and then there's kind of a large limestone structure on the right hand side, and so we lovingly refer to our building as the Frankenstein building because it was kind of pieced together over many, many decades. And it's a really large facility. So it's 5 different floors of exhibit hall space, classroom space, offices, collections areas. It's a really, really large museum. Our paleontology hall is the size of a football field, just that one hall. So it's pretty overwhelming sometimes. We've got a lot of room to showcase things for sure.
So that planetarium on the left, that's different
Mm-hmm.
than the George Observatory, correct?
Correct. Yes. So the planetarium itself, inside the main location of the museum that we just saw a picture of, the planetarium shows 20-minute shows and it's played on that domed ceiling.
Okay.
So you kind of lay back in your chair and you get to look up and watch those planetarium shows. And we sometimes do lectures and events in there as well. People can actually propose to people in there as one of our rentals. Yeah.
Wow.
So you can have it written in the stars, "Will you marry me?" which
Oh,
is kind of cute.
yeah.
Uh, and then we also have the George Observatory at the other location, and that one's like actual telescopes looking at the actual stars. Then the planetarium, it's just projected images.
Let's talk about this for a second. This is the King Tut's tomb discovery experience. Specifically, and I saw this in a couple of places on your website. Maybe you can help explain. On the
Yeah.
right here, it says tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I saw that there was tickets on a couple others of your exhibit. So do you get one ticket for the museum and then another ticket for these?
It is, yeah, we have a lot of different venues. So there is a general admission ticket that covers 13 permanent exhibit halls, is what we call them. So those exhibit halls are in the museum all the time. Members get access to them every time they come for free. And then the general admission ticket covers all of those halls. And then we have like separate a la carte venues that you can choose from if you want to add that onto your day. So the planetarium shows are one of them. We also have a giant screen theater that shows films in 2D and 3D. So that one has glasses for some of the films that you can wear. We have the Butterfly Center, which is like a rainforest within a glass enclosed building. And we have free flying butterflies in there with plants and a
Yes,
simulator.
I actually have a note to talk about that. Don't give me
Yeah.
too much information
Okay.
about it.
Okay. We'll get there later, but
We'll get there.
so that's an extra venue, and then
Okay.
the King Tut exhibit and some of the other special exhibits, like the Death by Natural Causes one, those are separate tickets as well. But those special exhibits include all the permanent halls, like the general admission as well.
Okay.
So it's
So
a little piecemeal.
okay. So if I wanted to do everything, see everything, how much
Yeah.
will that cost me?
So that I would have to do a little math,
Sure.
but it would be, I think we have a deal for general admission plus all of the special exhibits that we have. So there's a discount for that. And then it depends on if you're a member or not, or if you have a corporate discount or not, or if you have a caregiver you're bringing for free. There's all sorts of answers to that question.
Okay.
So we would have
Okay.
to kind of break it down. But general admission is without any discounts is $25 for an adult.
Yeah.
So
Good
that
deal.
covers those exhibit halls, the permanent halls.
Good deal. Tell me about this. Let me come here. So this is the King's Tut exhibit, specifically this. Now, unfortunately, I have to keep my mouse here because it goes away. But
Yeah.
these walls look like real walls inside a pyramid.
Right.
How did that happen? How do you make walls look like that?
This exhibit is so cool. It's a actual reconstruction of the layout of the tomb that's in Egypt for King Tut. So when you go through the exhibit, it's going through the spaces that you would actually, like the layout you would walk through
Yeah.
in the Valley of the Kings. So those walls are actually our exhibits team went to Egypt to look at the actual tomb and then came back and recreated kind of the image that they saw. But I don't know the exact materials they used, but it's basically just a regular wall with some plaster and paint, to my knowledge. Yeah,
No,
they did a really good
it's
job.
very, very, very impressive.
It
And
is.
talking about
Yeah.
this exhibit, I was kind of interested at that. This is inside King Tut's nested coffin. So is this really what it was? Like there was many boxes and he was inside? Is that?
Yeah, yeah. So describing it to, we actually we did a touch tour at the museum with the blind community related to this exhibit, and how we were describing that to the group was that it's kind of like if you've ever had a Russian nesting doll, and there's
Okay.
that little bitty one in the middle. That's kind of what he was, right? It was
Wow.
like the three different shrines, and then he had a sarcophagus and three separate coffins until you got to his actual body in the very center. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's
that's
amazing.
that's the reconstruction of kind of how Carter found him in his tomb.
Wow. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Now you said something that I think is interesting, and we'll take a little side detour on this. You
Okay.
said that you brought blind folks, and that's how you described that to them, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's really where your expertise is in accessibility, right?
Correct. Yes.
So my question is, I know that you've been at this museum, and this is impressive, by the way, since 2013. Is that accurate?
2012 actually, but
2012. Wow.
2014 was when I started full time. So 2012
Okay.
was
Right.
part.
And I have a note here that says you were in customer service. Yes?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So
I started
how does
out in customer service and then switched over to our education.
wow, yeah, I was going to say, how does someone go from customer service all the way to sort of accessibility person? That's
Yeah.
interesting. How do you do that?
Yeah. So my kind of story at the museum, I've been in a lot of different roles. And I did start out in customer service, and that was after talking with some people. I had actually worked a couple summers at the museum prior to that. And so, in talking with existing employees and advocating for kind of where I wanted to be in the museum, it's a competitive environment, as you might have heard from others and know yourself. But so generally, the best route is to just get your foot in the door and get some experience. And I'm really thankful for my time in our visitor services department because I got to interact with a lot of the guests with accessibility needs and who came in with disabilities, and maybe we weren't able to fully serve at the time. And now we've been able to implement programs and resources that would help those guests in the past and do help guests currently. And so I worked in visitor services, and then I got a position in our education department. And kind of my um, experience within education, I wore a lot of different hats, but I got a lot of experience working with kids with different disabilities through our summer camp programming and our homeschool labs, and just assisting our guests in that way. And I did have some personal experience with that as well, with a family member. And so um, the story that I like to tell is that myself and two of my colleagues kind of had similar experiences with guests and personally with family members. And so during our job performance reviews, we separately brought it up to our supervisors. Hey, we could really do better in this way at the museum. I'd like to implement this, this, and this, and kind of talked with our supervisors about that. And they basically said, great, that sounds awesome. You guys go ahead and do that, but you still have your full-time job. so we started interviewing community members, getting people to come in and review some resources we had initially created for people with autism who came to visit the museum, and get some feedback, and tried to do things that didn't cost a lot because we also didn't have a budget.
Yeah.
um, And so through that work, the museum recognized the need for an accessibility programs manager, and um, I ended up getting that role. And so it happened that way.
Um,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting. So you're in customer service. You had some personal experiences with
Mhm.
people that with accessibility issues, and then you transferred that into your job. That's great. Here's a question: have the people in your family that have accessibility issues gone to the museum?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
How'd that make you feel?
Great. Yeah. Yeah. It's been a minute. But it was nice to see through their eyes when they come to the museum and get feedback about what we can do better. Um, and they didn't come as often. They haven't been in a while, and we've made a lot of progress since then. So I would love for them to come. But yeah, it's great to see all the progress we've made, and also professionally when I still do work with the summer camp kiddos with disabilities. And so it's really nice to see through those kids' eyes all the progress we've made and get the feedback there. So yeah, it's a good job for the feels, and also to keep pushing myself to do better because there's always more to do, right?
Yes, of course. And,
Yeah.
so, I mean, you've been there for over a decade. What do you think kept you there that long? Because many people work at one place for like 1 year and then,
Yeah.
go somewhere else. What kept you there, do you think, for so long?
You know, I've talked to a lot of coworkers, and I think that HMNS just like reels you in. I have always loved this museum. I've lived in Houston my whole life, except for when I went to college for a couple years. And I think it's a great institution. I really appreciate the people who I work with. I think that's the main reason. I love science. I love history. And my coworkers are fabulous. So I think the community at the museum, specifically in my department, I really value them.
So you've been there for a long time. What's your favorite exhibit of all of
Oh,
them? You have to pick one.
I I had a feeling you were going to ask
Yes,
that. That's
you
a
have to
really
pick.
hard question. I was a history major. I really enjoy the Hall of Ancient Egypt. I think that's my favorite hall.
Your museum website says it's inclusive. But what happens if a guest doesn't speak English? The 42 Kites Premium Devices translates your exhibit text into over 100 different languages, even Zulu. Only at 42kites.com.
Now we are
Around
going
the hall.
to now we're going to go find it.
Yes.
Okay. And let's go to exhibits. We have to see what you like. So exhibits,
Yes.
where am I going? Where can I find this?
So
Down
you
here?
are actually under the satellite facility of Sugarland. So
Oh,
up at the top,
sorry.
you got to toggle over to the
All right.
HMNS
Sorry.
tab.
Okay. So
There we
now,
go.
now where do we go?
So then you're going to go to the permanent exhibitions
Okay.
and Hall of
Scroll down.
Ancient Egypt. Yeah, keep scrolling,
Scrolling.
keep scrolling. The one
Scrolling.
on the right
Ah,
there.
okay.
Yeah,
All of ancient Egypt. Okay.
there it
Let's see.
is.
So, a pretty cool gold wall. We have sarcophagi, I believe is the correct word.
Mm-hmm. That is correct. Well, I learned from a coworker that if it is created from stone, it's a sarcophagus. If it's wooden, which is what we normally see in exhibits, it's a coffin. That is what I learned.
Oh, look at that. We're learning so much today.
I know it. I know.
I know. All right. So this, I'm assuming, is where you walk in. Yes?
Correct. Yes, that's the entrance. And it used to, so the Hall of Ancient Egypt has progressed over the years. When I first started working at the museum, it was in the basement in a tiny corner of the education area. And there was one mummy and some hieroglyphics on the wall. And so it's definitely expanded since then,
Yeah,
and it's
yes.
got its whole area. And we have three different mummies upstairs. Some of our campers think the exhibit's too scary to visit, but I love it. And it talks about, yeah, you walk through that big entrance with the statues on each side, and then you walk through the first area, kind of talks about Egyptian life and culture, and then it moves into more of the mummification process and the importance of the afterlife, and that's where you see some of our mummies displayed. Um, my my favorite mummy that we have, his name is Ankop, and he he tells a cool story because he is missing a couple toes. He's got a little damage on him, and he's slightly unwrapped. And all of his shopti, which are little figures who are supposed to do all his work for him in the afterlife that he's buried with, they're kind of separated from him, and so he looks a little bit sad. But it tells a historical story because when the British initially found these mummies, they would have parties to unwrap them. And so each person would kind of get a chance to unwrap a portion, and whatever amulets or gemstones were included in the wrappings that they unwrapped, they got to take home as a party favor.
Oh,
So, although that is, in my opinion, a terrible practice,
sure,
it
yeah.
tells a neat historical story over the different time frames. So I think Ankop is a really cool representation of multiple eras of history. A cool learning point in the museum.
Here, let's just hit play on this. Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
I don't know if
yeah,
it's going to make noise, but let's. Okay, we have this
yeah.
the wall. We're walking through.
That's mhm.
Kids enjoying. Oh, you have a
Book of the Dead on the wall.
Book of the Dead. Wow.
Yeah, and then there's one of our mummies. And
Yeah.
that's the area that talks about Egyptian life and culture.
We've looped around. Yeah, more mummies down there. I'm noticing a theme throughout your museum is death. Interesting. Wow.
There is a lot of talk about death right now. Yeah.
I guess. Um, and you also have a store. Now, what I
Yeah.
found interesting, maybe this is outside of your department, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Sure.
Here we have new arrivals, all kinds of great things. I believe it's a keychain, a little Jeep, great bags, very cool. Here's what I found interesting. Let's come down here. Calm down here. We have knives, $500 knives.
Yes. There are,
I'm
you
sure the
know,
parents love that.
I have not seen those out on the floor of the museum store.
Yeah.
I think those are an online purchase
Oh,
only.
yeah, that's probably the best idea
Yes.
to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. I took a note, by the way, of store and knives, so I'm going to cross that
That's
one
so
off my
funny.
list. We
Yeah,
did
it's
that.
crazy. Our museum store sells a lot of neat things, and it is separate from my department. But yeah, there's some high dollar items in there. They have actual fossils and different gemstones you can buy in the gift shop, and I always go peruse, but some of it's out of my price range.
Yeah, it seems very expensive.
Yes.
Now you mentioned this a little while ago. I told you to hold off because it was interesting. The Butterfly Center.
Yeah,
This looks very cool. It looks like it would be like very calming. Is
it
that
is.
accurate? Okay.
It
And
is.
yeah. And then I also noticed that you also have turtles.
Yes.
So
They
the,
are tortoises, I believe.
they are tortoises.
Yes.
I gotcha.
Yes.
So we have butterflies flying around, tortoises on the ground. How big is this?
You know,
About.
I'm trying to think. I don't know the square footage, but it's three different levels. It's a pretty big space,
Yeah.
and it we just recently redid some of it, so it's gotten a little refresh recently. And when you walk in, you're led up to our entomology hall. So it's kind of an exhibit space talking about different insects. It's got different insects in their enclosures that you can look at. And it just talks about different things like how bugs see and hear, and what they eat and different types of insects that you might see in your backyard or in the rainforest.
Yeah.
And then you move into the actual rainforest of the exhibit, and there's a big waterfall, kind of representing a cenote coming down through the space with
What
lots
is
of
a
pretty
what is
flying
a
butterflies.
cenote? That's a big word that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, so in South America, there's like it's for lack of a better way to describe it. I know our director of the Butterfly Center could do a better job, but it's kind of like a sinkhole where there's sometimes a waterfall coming down into it, but there can be really deep, cavernous spaces underneath the water that you can swim in. So it's something like a swimming hole that's really deep is a really basic way to explain
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Sounds
Yeah,
good to me.
yeah,
So we started talking about the different locations, and one of them is Sugarland. Now,
yes.
from just clicking around here, is Sugarland more for the little ones, the kids? Is that
Yeah, so it is better for younger families for
okay?
sure. It's a smaller space and it's a little less overwhelming. We do sensory friendly events at the main location and the Sugarland location. And I would say the Sugarland location is great for those events because it's a little more digestible in terms of the space and exhibit hall information.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, it's great for different audiences. Specifically, little ones do enjoy Sugarland a lot.
yeah.
Yeah,
Let's take a look at their website. Not their
yeah,
website, that one. So we have a Triceratops here at the top. It looks pretty big.
yes.
Then we're coming down here, and I thought this was pretty cool. And this is a clickable thing. Yes, it is exciting.
hmm
How do you get the Earth to appear on a sphere like that? It looks like it's projected somehow.
I think it is projected, yeah. And there's different, the cool thing about that exhibit is there's a screen that you can interact with where you can change what the globe is showing you. So it can show you um, the Earth, it can be the sun, it can show different types of scientific concepts based on what you click on the interactive tab. And I believe it's done from all projectors from different sides. Yeah, it's a really cool exhibit.
Yeah, so you can control what's on it. I love that.
hmm
Very cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we also have, and let's take a look at this together here. We have the George Observatory. So this is what you were saying,
Mhm.
telescopes, looking up into the sky. That's cool. So I'm assuming you
Yeah,
have multiple telescopes where kids can come up here and adults, I'm guessing,
yeah.
and look at the sky. That's really cool.
So we have a really large telescope at the George that you can look through that one. And then for the Saturday stargazing, I believe that people can also bring their individual telescopes to put out on the platform as well. So they can look through their personal telescopes and then also look through our big telescope at the
Wow.
George.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I see
Very
what you're
cool.
saying. Here is the Saturday stargazing. This is what you just mentioned.
Yeah,
Explore
exactly.
the wonders of the universe. Saturday night stargazing at the George Observatory located at Brazos Bend State Park.
Yes, which is where all the alligators live. So sometimes you might also get to see alligators along with stars.
Wow, what a
Yeah.
deal! Cool, cool. So who, and you might not know the answer to this, but
Yeah.
who in your organization controls your social media account, specifically Instagram? Is it you?
It's not me. No, we have a whole social media team. They're really great. My coworker Mike and Jillian and Joy and Steven. I'm probably forgetting some people, but yeah, there's a whole team that manages that.
We'll just say social media team. So take a look at this. I think this is really interesting. So here is your Instagram page.
hmm
Let's come down here. And what I thought was interesting, if you look at, now I know that there's some that are a little more or less higher views, likes, I mean. You have 163, 988, which is good, 60, 287. But this
Oh
one
yeah.
This one has 1,613. And the reason is because Jason makes an appearance. I think
That
this is
is true.
really great. And, playing off like pop culture, Jason, and the holiday coming up, like in various scenes, like you just see him like hanging out in the corner like a super creepy guy.
I did see that the other day and I got freaked out.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't
He's
want
like
to
just
go to work
standing,
because I was like, maybe I'll see Jason in the hall.
right? He just appears in random places with a machete.
Yes. Yeah, that doesn't happen every day. I think that's another member of the social media team, Johnny. I think he's
Okay.
under the mask. I couldn't tell who it was though.
Okay. So no one's actually being hacked to death.
No, no.
I understand that. Okay.
Although interesting story, while we're focusing on death and scary things,
Oh, yeah.
there was a horror movie filmed at the museum,
Really?
and it was in the 80s, and I am blanking on the name of it right now. But yeah, it's like a slasher film but it's very strange. I've never seen it myself.
Since the beginning of time, man has been fascinated by the mysterious, the unexplained, the unknown. Consider, if you will, the legend of the lamp.
Looks like something out of Arabian Nights. Oh, is it okay if I open it?
No, honey, I wish you wouldn't.
But think twice before you make a wish.
One thing, though, about the warning on the inscription.
What's that?
The former owner should have read it.
You've uncovered another King Tut's curse, huh?
For within it lurks the unleashed power of death and destruction. It can take any form. Strike any time. Anywhere. Alex knows.
I don't think I like this.
Quit worrying. You will before the night's over.
And soon her friends will too.
I guess you've got to send to Miss Wallace.
What's the matter? Afraid?
That there is no way on Earth
Something's wrong.
to put an end to the terror.
What can you do?
Got to be an answer here.
But what is it? This can't be happening.
The lamp. Make a wish if you dare.
But one of our uh, artifacts in the Gems and Minerals Hall is featured in it, and then some of the filming was at the museum too.
That's
I'll have
very
to get
cool.
you the name of it.
Yeah, yeah, we should check that out. Here's another thing to look at, and this is smart. It looks like you guys are having soon, actually, 2 days. You're having bourbon night.
Yes.
Will you be attending bourbon night?
I won't be attending bourbon night, but I do love bourbon, so I imagine that's going to go really well. I think
Yeah,
other
right.
people like it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about your social media, another one of your posts that has an incredible amount of views is this one right here. Once again, you look at a lot of these 236,
Mhm.
729, 147, but this one, 5,276.
Yes.
So this is all about the great white shark. So there's no such thing as a great white shark. But look at that. Also working in pop culture references there. I saw Jennifer Anderson. I'm not sure what show that was on.
Yeah.
But really smart.
Yeah,
And
they do a great job, and everyone's super into sharks. They're very interesting. My boss also curated that exhibit, so we saw a clip of her there. But yeah, they just do a great job incorporating things. I feel like such an old lady because they'll post something related to, like recently they posted where they asked different staff members what specific words might mean.
Oh,
That,
yeah. I saw this nice lady.
yeah, and I don't know any of them, so I'm glad they didn't ask me.
Yeah. Yeah, so the whole social media team, they're doing a great job. But let's me and you, let's take a look at this post that you were just talking about because I didn't actually watch it. So this nice lady right here, we're gonna have her, right, we're just gonna say it. It might be hard to see. So if I were to say something that says slaps, what does that mean? I guess I don't know. All right, it went away. It went too fast.
Yeah, she
I
said
wonder if
that.
there's more.
I think
Could
she
you
thought
please?
it meant like it was exciting.
Oh, and this one says Ohio Riz,
Yes,
slang meaning for strange, weird, cringe, and dumb. Riz means one's charm.
I
Okay.
have heard Riz before, but
Enough. Riz. Oh yeah, one's charm. Okay. I would say the same thing as this lady. Be like, what are you talking about?
yeah, same. I mean, I Riz is the only one I knew, and then
Right.
that's my coworker Michelle, and she was asked, "What does it mean when you say secure that bag?"
For the bag.
And I had never heard that, but she said
No,
I
me
would
neither.
go get the bag and bring it with me.
Right. Yeah, this is great. So yeah, this lady is confused as well. Bag. Let's see what else we got. It's not wrong at all.
You kind of got it right. Yeah, go Michelle.
That's Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Good job. Could you please explain for me skibbity what? Skibbity skibbities?
Skibbity skibbity.
What nonce word is often used for comedic or exaggerated effect? Wow.
No idea. No
Okay.
idea.
So this is what the kids are saying these days?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know that I know any kids that are saying those things, but
No,
yeah,
absolutely not.
seems to be popular.
Yeah, very strange.
But I
All right.
do think to your point about how great our team is, it's cool to see the people who work at the museum in different exhibit halls, but also talk about something that makes people laugh.
Yeah,
Like they do a really good job with it.
they do. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Here's another thing that I'm very impressed with, and that is your calendar of events. Now, we're sitting here talking on September 18th, and there's one, two, three, four, five today, which is a lot for one day. And then let's go to tomorrow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, probably 20 or so events in one day. That's incredible.
Yeah, and those what we were just looking at, I think, was just our planetarium and giant screen theater shows. And
Mhm.
so those are regular every day. The planetarium is pretty consistently every 30 minutes there's a show, and then the giant screen is every hour. Generally, there's a show. Um, and then we also have lectures at night sometimes. We'll have events like our Mixers and Elixirs events for 21 and up. We do, yeah, all sorts of adult education things like the bourbon night that you saw. We sometimes do feasts at the museum or interactive classes for adults or kids. So all sorts of events pretty regularly.
Yeah. Will you guys be bringing your knife collection to the bourbon night? But
I
what
hope
can go
not. That would
wrong?
be a bad combo.
It would be. It would be. So I clicked on this. Hold on, let's share this. So this is the James Hood's Beautifica 360 Houston, and that linked me here. What is this? What am I looking at here? It looked
Yeah.
like a giant screen. I don't even know.
Yeah, kind of. It's so I was mentioning like the 20-minute shows that we do in our planetarium. This is a longer show from a third party vendor, so they come and utilize the planetarium, but they have their own specific show that they play.
Okay.
And so they'll play it like on the dome, and those are generally after hours. So it's like a cool film that you can come to the museum and see after we're closed. Um,
If Grandma is visiting your museum, why make her struggle to read the small print on the wall labels? With the 42 Kites premium devices, she can make the text as big as she wants. Get yours today, only at 42kites.com.
And I saw this number, and this is a very impressive number. Rent the museum from 20 to 5,000 guests. Where are you guys putting 5,000 people?
Oh man. So I mentioned our paleontology hall is the size of a football field. So that is generally where we can have big events like that. Or not Matter in Motion, the Weiss Energy Hall is about that same size. And so on each level, we have space for many, many people. And our grand hall is pretty open without artifacts. And so that's a good area to fit people for events too. We have kind of the grand entry hall, and then there's a separate entry hall, the Glassell Hall, that has some information in it, but basically it's like a hub, and then you choose which exhibit you want to go through from there.
Okay.
So there's a lot of space to fit those people. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. And we don't have to share the screen on this one, but you guys also offer field trips for students.
Yeah.
It requires a 3-week notice. That's cool. Do you guys get a lot of kids?
We do, yeah. We get thousands and thousands of kids. The field trip department and the reservations team is in my department, and I used to work a lot with helping book the field trips and all sorts of things. So I have some experience with that. But yeah, thousands of kids in the spring daily. We can get up to like 6,000 to 7,000 kids. And we have our homeschool labs too, and those happen 3 times a day, if not more, with 25 kids per lab. And
wait, what's a homeschool lab? Is it?
So yeah, parents are homeschooling. We have a program where if you have a group of kids that you want to come and learn about either like earth science, or if you want to learn about a wildlife lab that we have, or do a dissection with us, we can book specific hour-long labs for your group of up to 25. And yeah, we just teach the class. We have the teachers, the supplies, the classroom space, and you just bring your kids and do that. So it is a lot of times homeschool groups that book those, but then field trip groups from schools in the area can also book a lab with us as part of their field trip, which is really
cool. Right. So it's for homeschool kids, but not at their home. It's at the museum.
Correct. Yes. So it's like a activity for them to come to us, and then they get to explore the museum too, which is a plus.
Yeah. But I also saw that you guys offer an outreach program, which it says brings an exciting field trip experience right to your classroom.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you guys have some exhibits or some members of staff that go to local area schools?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if people have trouble, like if a teacher has trouble getting transportation to the museum, or they don't have a long amount of time to allot to a field trip, we can come to you. And so we do have staff members that will bring like prepackaged programming, and we do science on stage where we talk about chemistry or physics. We can bring bugs from the Butterfly Center out to your school and do a Bugs on Wheels program.
Let me share the screen and let's talk about accessibility. So we're on the accessibility tab here. So our goal is to make the Houston Museum of Natural Science accessible to all visitors. That's a good goal. To offer specialized resources. Okay. So before coming to the museum, download and review our tips, guides, planners, and other resources. Yeah, I see all your guides and stuff over here on the right. And this is where you really shine, right? This is what you focus on.
Yeah, this is what I focus on. And so I was talking a little bit earlier about starting out without a budget and also having a separate job when I was trying to initiate accessibility at the museum and focus on creating new programs. So myself and 2 coworkers did kind of start focusing on people with autism, because that was something that was really challenging coming to the museum. Kind of what we've talked about throughout our conversation today is how big the museum is, how many options there are, how many programs there are. So it can be super overwhelming. And some of our exhibits that we've redone have a lot of components to them with lights and sounds. And so we really try to make it as accessible for people with sensitivities to outside stimuli as possible. And so we worked to create sensory guides and social stories and visual vocabulary cards kind of to start out with. And then we were able to connect with people in the community and get some funding to have sensory friendly events. So those are like special times where everything in the exhibit is made to be sensory neutral, and there's not as many people coming in the museum during those times. And we offer special resources that you can use throughout the day or throughout your visit. And there's like a 5-page document of all the things in the museum that we adjust in terms of lighting and sound and all of that. So yeah, we do those events 3 times a year and have gotten some good feedback from the community and are hoping to kind of expand on that a little bit in upcoming years. And then our Touch Tour program is one that I run as well with our volunteers. And that was kind of brought about when a member of the blind community was visiting the Fine Arts Museum next door to us. And they do an Art Beyond Sight program where the blind community can come in and they talk about a couple paintings and have some tactile things to associate with the painting. And basically, he came to me and my coworkers and said, we would really like to come to the Science Museum. We really like dinosaurs. We want to learn more. So, of course, yeah, we created that program. And so we do touch tours as well, where we bring out artifacts from our education collections. We talk about them really descriptively, and we pass them out and let people touch and feel them as we're discussing the topic that is specific to that program. But we get a lot of good turnout for that program. It's generally 20 to 30 people who are blind and low vision that come out, and we get to feel all sorts of things. We did a King Tut touch tour where we got to feel the coffin. We have a 3D replica of the coffin front, and got to feel some different artifacts and amulets that were on him and all sorts of things. So those are the programs I'm really passionate about, and connecting with the community in that way.
Right. So that's touch tours, and then you have the sensory events.
Yes.
Do you, since this is your area of expertise, do you have any tips or things that other museums you think should do to accommodate accessibility issues that might come up in a museum?
Yeah. My tip is generally, I don't know, a lot of times when people are starting accessibility work, right, it's super overwhelming and you feel like you have to have millions of dollars. And so my tips and advice are always like, start small, do what you can, and talk with the community. I lean hard on other people in my role at other institutions or other people who are doing this work at other institutions, because I recognize there's not a full role a lot of the time related or focused on accessibility. So I have some really close friends they've become who it's my counterpart at Space Center Houston, and then someone who does accessibility related work at the Houston Zoo. And I talk to them regularly. We bounce ideas off of each other, and just having support from someone else who is doing this work and can talk you through some things if they've already been through it, or just help you get started is key. So that specifically with the touch tours, I reached out to the Fine Arts Museum near us because they had an established program, and generally in accessibility work, everyone is so willing to support and help each other. They're not like gatekeeping anything. They want you to succeed, right? Because we're all working towards making our institutions more inclusive in general, and that's the goal.